Today I'm going to talk about a tutorial on state management in Blazor WebAssembly, and we will be talking about a particular way of managing the state and what is state management in Blazor. We'll see, and we'll implement the state management in Blazor. The code for this tutorial is available at my blog site, which is this one, https://kaushikroychaudhury.com/blog/state management in Blazor WebAssembly with ASP.NET 6, and I will put the link down in the description of the YouTube video below. So let's move on to the next section. So before moving further, I will like to show you how the end product that we are going to build will look like. So this is the Blazor state management project that we are going to complete in this tutorial. So this is a customer menu and this is an order. So if you click on the select on any of these customers' name, it will bring the order for that customer. So you clicked, say again, you click John Roddick with a customer ID of 1. So these are his orders: customer ID 1, order description, and order ID. Similarly, if you click the other customer, it will be his orders. Here the order receiver component shows the orders based on the selected customers. Now a few questions that come to the mind are, where is the state stored? Is the state stored in the browser? Yes. So state is stored in the browser, that we can actually prove. So how do you do that? If you click on developer tools, F12 developer tools, or from here more tools, developer tools, and if you bring the application and look for cache storage, here you can find, if I select this node Blazor resources, and if I filter by path, if I just write the project name Blazor underscore state management, or simply Blazor, it brings the name, response, content, time, etc. So it is all cached. So this is state management in WASM. Now let's switch over to understand what the state management principles are. So now again, let's analyze this workflow diagram. Now this object, so we'll be using the in-memory state container service, because what I have just shown in the completed application is cache service, which is just the coming through the in-memory state container. Now here in this object, it must define property or properties that will be used to maintain the state of the data to be shared across components. Now this object also defines event. The event is raised when the sender component will have the event, which we will see in the code. The event is raised when the sender component modifies its state and updates the previous state of the value. Say it has a previous value of 3. If it is changed to another value, say 5, and it updates the previous state from global state container object to the new state. Now the public method in this object, which is the set value, will be accessed by the sender component to send the new state to the global object. Once the state is changed in the global object, the other receiver component can subscribe to the global state object and receive the modified state. That is in a nutshell. So let's switch over to Visual Studio now. Now I have switched over to Visual Studio 2022, and I will create a new project. Recent project templates are being loaded. So I have started with the Blazor WebAssembly app in my previous trial. So I will click on Blazor WebAssembly app and then click on next. I've already set my location. So Blazor underscore state management, and click on next and go with the default configure for HTTPS. I don't need it to be core hosted, and I don't need it to be PWA, okay, and .NET 6 long-term support, and then create. click on create. We'll come back when the project is created. Now this is how the project looks like. Blazor Version project, Blazor underscore state management. So it has got pages folder, it has got a counter.razor, fetch data and indexes which has come from the previous iterations in the previous versions of ASP.NET. It's the same thing if you are aware. Now what I will do is I will create, right click and create a new folder, add new folder and rename it models. So basically it is a models folder holding the data for the application. The models folder, and then right click. I'll create two classes as you have seen in the finished application. The one will be the customer. So add class excuse my typing, customer. So this customer class is created. Now I will copy over the existing code, default code with my clipboard code just to be quick, and I just don't want to bore you, take your precious time by typing for ages. And so namespace is Blazor state management.models. Now this is ASP.NET 6 convention. It is in a namespace can be declared on top with followed by a semicolon, and it does not require then this indenting curly brackets. Okay, and within one namespace you can write as many classes, one or more classes. Okay, so this was my customer class. So it has got a customer ID and customer name, and there is another public class customers which is derived from the list of customers. So this is public customers, and I have added two new customers as you have seen, John Roddick and Harold William. You can add as many customer and give it whatever IDs you like and customer names. Okay, and then I will create another model, right click, add another order class. So order class is created for me, and I will again copy, select all and copy paste from my clipboard, and I will save all the files. Okay, so this was my order class. Okay, sweet and sharp, right? This was very similar like our customer class, and we have got a order class, order ID, description, customer ID. So customer ID is, for one customer you could have several orders. Okay, but one order will only belong to one customer. Okay, so customer ID is sort of, if you visualize a tabular relationship, DBMS relational database. So customer is a foreign key in the order table. Okay, so that's it. So I've added a few orders with description and customer ID, and then next is I have to create a state container. For this I'll have to create a folder named state service on the project level. State service, and I have the code again for the state container, and I will first put it, add a class, and then I will explain the code in detail. State container, or rather state container service. This is because this is a service. state container service, and I will just highlight everything and Control V and then save. Okay, so this is the public class state container service, which is actually at the heart of everything that we have. Now this int value is the summary. It says that it is the state property within the initial value, and this is the event that will be raised for state change. When the state of a component, say sender component change, then this event will be raised. Okay, and this set value method will be accessed by the sender component to update the state. So what it contains, it's a simple method which returns nothing. It returns empty void, and it takes the argument as integer and sets the value for this property with the argument sent to it, parameter, and then it calls the notify state changed. And notify state change is another method which returns empty void, and it is on state change. It is once the state is changed, when this action is, when this event is raised, it is invoked. Notify state change is invoked. Okay, all right. So this event will be raised for the state change, and it will be, this will be action. It is built in. This is in. This will be invoke method will be called on a state change. Right. Now next we will register the state container. This is the most single important step to register the component, as we have been used to doing it in the previous versions of ASP.NET 3.1 or 5. We used to do it in startup class, but now because I have got a unified, I'm using the minimal hosting model of ASP.NET 6, so I'm just using one program class which calls the actually the startup class also, which, so what I will do is I will add this piece of code here just above the build, just above the line, await line, where the builder, the build method is called on the builder object. So here this is builder.services.add singleton state container service, and there is some squiggly line. Let's fix this. This is using Blazor state management.state service. So it's all done, and it's just save. All right, so if you just miss this line, if you omit this line, or if you just forget to add this line, you can understand what will happen. I can show you later, but you know, it will, the program will simply, it will compile, it will build, compile, and it will do nothing basically. Okay. Now I have to create the Razor component. So what I will do is I will right click the pages folder and add Razor component. So what component was the sender? So I had the customer as the sender component and order as the receiver. So I will create the Razor component and name this first component as customer sender component. Customer sender component. All right, great. Now, as before, I just chose to be quick, so I will actually either remove or write over the existing code and save it. So this is the customer sender component, which is the page directive. It is actually, we'll have to create a nav menu so that it is directed to customer sender component. So it uses the Blazor statement.models, all right, because it is using the customer object. Okay, so it has to be including this models folder, and I'm injecting this state container service. So those of you who have come from some Blazor background, previous background, you will probably know that, you know, injecting a service like this is allowable in Blazor. So inject is actually allowing me to use an object of this type basically, and it implements iDisposable, and I'm also injecting a navigation manager, an instance of navigation manager, which is the URI helper, I'm calling this. So basically what this is doing, this component, is that it is writing a table header. It's forming those table headers, customer ID and customer name, which we have seen, and within a for each loop it is actually in var custom customers. Let's see the code now. Let's come to the code. So I have initialized, I have actually I have declared two variables of type customer and customers. So this is the list of customer and this is the customer model. So on initialized, when the on initialized method lifecycle method is called, so this customer is actually initialized with a new object of customer type, and customers is new customers type. And then this state service, which is the injected state container service type object, so that state service dot on state change. Remember, it has got an on state event. So if you look at this, so it has got this on state change. So state service dot on state change. So again, on state change is the event raised on changing the state. So it actually it calls the notifies the component that the state has changed. Okay, right. And then there is a selected customer method which takes in the customer ID, and then it sets the value. It calls again the state service set value. What this set value was again doing, set value was actually setting the value to the new value, and then it was calling the notify state change method, which is simply invoking the on state change event. Okay, so basically then there's another method which returns empty. It takes the customer ID and it sets the value of the customer ID, and then it navigates to the order receiver component. And then this is the garbage disposal, garbage collection state service dot on state change. This event has actually now it's all done. Actually now you can dispose of in the garbage collection. Now, following in the steps previously for creating this customer sender component, I will create a receiver component, which will be order receiver component. So add, and then there's a component. Order receiver component. And then paste the code that I have on my clipboard and then save it. Okay. Now this is slightly different. So this is on top. You can see that there is a page directive again going to this order receiver component URL. And again, it is using the models folder and then injecting the state container service. Pretty much if you put them side by side, if you new horizontal vertical tab group, you can put always to see them side by side. That's the trick. All right, so you can see most of the top level statements are similar. I'm also injecting a state container service type, state service, and then it is implementing iDisposable in a similar manner, and then injecting the URI helper. Okay, and then I'm calling this order receiver component. So basically, let me close this. So there's a lot more real estate available. Now here it is forming a order table with table header, order ID, order description, customer ID, and in the table body, I am in the for each loop. I basically have to look into the code first. Var odd in filtered orders. So what is filtered orders? Filtered orders is the list of private list of order, and orders is just orders. Okay, so So because this is a list of order, so var odd in filtered orders, then order dot you by writing like @odd dot odd id, I am actually evaluating the id, writing the order id and description and the customer id. And likewise here in the onInitialize method, which is the one of the first lifecycle methods, so orders is initialized with the new orders. Orders is this type. Basically in order.cs, orders is a list of order. Okay, so basically list of orders type is assigned, and then filtered order is new list of order. It's another new list of order. Okay, so what is this filter order? So customer id is some state service dot value. So state service, if you call the value method value, state service has got this property, value, private property, public property, sorry, of integer type, int value. Okay, so this is used over here, state service dot value. So if customer id is 0, then filtered orders is the this new orders. Okay, filtered order, if there is no customer, then the filtered order is this, because I don't have anything to filter out. Else filtered orders, this is important, orders. So what is orders again? This one, new orders. So new initialization, new instantiation of this orders, which is itself a list of order. So orders within the list of order, orders dot where, this is the link expression, or okay, rather this is lambda expression. So this is the lambda operator. So where o goes to o dot customer id equals the cust id. So cust id is already there, available. Okay, dot to list. So it is filtering by the customer id. Okay, it is assigning the customer id to be equal to the cust id, which is actually achieved from the state service, the value property of the state service container. Okay, class, and it is listing it, and then it is disposing that the state has changed. So that's all about the description and the code. Now I have to create the navigation menu. So if you remember, the navigation menu is created from this nav menu.razor. So what I am going to do is I am just going to copy one of these, copy, and then let me put two navigations as we have seen. And this one is, say, customer order. Okay, and then I'll have to href it to, let's see, where was the order receiver component and customer sender component. Okay, so it should redirect to this customer sender component. So just copy over here and then come over here, and then okay, customer sender component, and then copy over here. Don't take any risk because of there could be some typo, it will not work. Then copy and then go back, and then href over here, and then save it. Okay, customer and order. Now let's run the application. So if everything is all right, I should be able to see what I have shown in the beginning. So here is our browser. So we have got this customer sender component, it's highlighted. So if I click on the select for customer ID 1, so the received customer ID is 1, and here are his orders for this customer ID 1. And if you go back and select this other customer with the ID of 2. So customer ID 2 and received customer ID is 2. Now if you go for F12 developer tools, so in my computer, in my laptop, it is I have to press function key as well as F12, function F12. And now I've got this F12 developer tools, and if I click on console, rather here, application, and then cache storage, and then Blazor resources. Now if I filter by path, so just like Blazor underscore state management or simply Blazor, or if I write the name of the project, okay, Blazor state management. Okay, cool. So you got what I have shown you in the beginning. So I've got you this name and then response, which is showing default, or this is application, and just if you just see, you can see the time also, number of content, how many bytes, and this is the time where it was when it was cached. All right, so that marks the end of this tutorial on state management in Blazor WASM. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please click the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel and put your valuable feedback and comments and likes. So